Wealth from Within, the Financial Psychology of the 1%. Introduction. Have you ever wondered what truly separates the wealthiest 1% from everyone else? It is not just about the yachts, the mansions, and the expensive cars. The real difference, the foundational secret, lies in their mindset. This audiobook is your guide, your personal invitation to understand and adopt the financial psychology of the super successful. We will explore together how your thoughts, your beliefs, and your feelings about money are actively shaping your reality every single day. Building wealth is not just about what is in your bank account. It starts with what is in your mind. By the end of this journey, you will have the tools, the strategies, and the confidence to reshape your financial destiny from the inside out. You have the power to change your life, and it begins right now. Before we begin, I have a question for you. What is the very first money lesson you can ever remember learning? Think back for a moment. What was it, and who taught it to you? Take a moment to share that memory in the comments below. Your story is part of a larger conversation we are all having about money, and I cannot wait to read what you share. Chapter 1. The Blueprint of the Millionaire Mind. Welcome to the foundational chapter of your new financial life. Before we can talk about investing, saving, or earning more, we must first lay the proper groundwork. And that groundwork, the solid bedrock upon which all fortunes are built, is the mind. The way you think about money, the beliefs you hold deep down, often unconsciously, are the invisible architects of your financial reality. The 1% are not just lucky, and they were not all born with a silver spoon. Many started with nothing, or even less than nothing, deep in debt. What they did have, or what they cultivated, was a specific and powerful way of thinking. They operate from a mental blueprint that is fundamentally different from the one most people use. In this chapter, we are going to unpack that blueprint. We will dissect it, understand it, and most importantly, we will begin the process of installing it into your own mind. Forget everything you think you know. Open your mind, and let's begin the process of building your millionaire mindset from the ground up. This is not about wishing for wealth. It is about becoming the person who can create, manage, and grow wealth as a natural extension of who you are. Our first and most critical area of focus is the concept of abundance versus scarcity. This is not just some feel-good, new age idea. It is the core operating system of your financial mind. Everything, and I mean everything, flows from this one central belief system. A scarcity mindset is a belief that there is never enough. It is a deep-seated fear that resources are limited, opportunities are few and far between, and that one person's gain must be another person's loss. It is a zero-sum game. Someone with a scarcity mindset worries constantly. They worry about paying the bills this month. They worry about losing their job. They see a friend's success and feel a pang of jealousy, thinking, why them and not me? They hoard what they have, whether it is money, knowledge, or connections, because they are terrified that if they share, they will be left with less. Their financial decisions are driven by fear. They are afraid to invest because they might lose money. They are afraid to ask for a raise because they might get rejected. They are afraid to start a business because it might fail. This fear keeps them small, trapped in a cycle of just getting by. The language of scarcity includes phrases like, I can't afford that, that's too expensive, money doesn't grow on trees, or I'll never be rich. These are not just words, they are declarations. They are commands you are giving to your subconscious mind, which then works tirelessly to make them your reality. It filters your perception, causing you to see only lack and limitation in the world around you. The abundance mindset, on the other hand, is the operating system of the 1%. It is the core belief that there is more than enough to go around. It is the understanding that the world is filled with infinite opportunities, resources, and wealth. Someone with an abundance mindset believes that creating wealth is not about taking a piece of a limited pie, It is about baking a bigger pie for everyone. They see other people's success not as a threat, but as an inspiration. They think, if they can do it, so can I. They are generous with their knowledge, their network, and even their money because they trust that the universe is a place of flow. What you give out, you get back, often multiplied. Their financial decisions are driven by opportunity and growth, not fear. They are willing to take calculated risks, to invest in themselves and their ideas, because they focus on the potential for gain, not just the risk of loss. The language of abundance is filled with phrases like, "How can I afford that? That's a great value. Money is a renewable resource," and "I am a wealth creator." Again, these are not just positive affirmations. They are powerful commands that program your subconscious mind to seek out and create opportunities. Your mind begins to filter your reality for evidence of abundance, and what you focus on expands. Now, you might be thinking, this sounds great, but my reality is that I don't have enough money. My bills are real. My debt is real. That is perfectly valid. This is not about denying your current reality. It is about refusing to let your current reality dictate your future. Your financial situation today is simply the result of your past thinking and actions. It is a lagging indicator. Your future financial situation will be the result of your thinking and actions starting right now. So, how do we make the shift? How do you go from a mind wired for scarcity to one that sees abundance everywhere? It is a process, and it requires conscious, deliberate effort. But it is the most important work you will ever do for your financial future. The first actionable step is to become a detective of your own thoughts. For the next 7 days, I want you to carry a small notebook or use a notes app on your phone. Your only job is to catch and write down every single scarcity thought you have about money. Every time you think, "I can't afford it," write it down. Every time you feel jealous of someone's new car, write it down. Every time you worry about not having enough, write it down. Do not judge these thoughts. Do not try to fight them. Just observe them and record them. This act of observation is incredibly powerful. You are bringing your unconscious patterns into the light of your conscious awareness. For most people, their financial programming runs on autopilot in the background. By writing these thoughts down, you are taking the first step to taking back control of the wheel. At the end of the 7 days, review your list. You will likely be shocked at how pervasive and repetitive these thoughts are. This is the scarcity software that has been running your life. Once you have awareness, the next step is to challenge and reframe these thoughts. This is where the real work begins. Take each scarcity thought from your list and consciously, deliberately create an abundance-based reframe. For example, if you caught yourself thinking, "I'll never be able to afford a house in this market," you are going to challenge that. You are going to ask yourself powerful questions. Is it absolutely 100% true that I will never be able to afford a house? Have other people in my situation found a way? What creative solutions might exist that I have not considered yet? Then, you create a new empowering thought. The reframe could be, "The housing market is challenging, and I am starting to look for creative opportunities to become a homeowner." Or, "I am learning everything I can about real estate so that I am ready when the right opportunity appears." Do you see the difference? The first thought is a dead end. It is a statement of defeat. The second thought is a starting point. It opens up possibilities. It puts you back in the driver's seat. Let's take another common one. "I'm just not good with money." Is that a fact, or is it a story you've been telling yourself? The reframe could be, "I am actively learning the skills to become a great money manager," or "Every day I am getting better and more confident with my finances." This is not about lying to yourself. It is about choosing a more empowering perspective and directing your focus toward a desired future, not a limited past. You are literally rewiring the neural pathways in your brain. Neuroscientists have shown that the brain has incredible plasticity, meaning it can change and adapt throughout our lives. Every time you consciously choose an abundance thought over a scarcity thought, you are weakening the old neural connection and strengthening a new one. Over time, thinking from abundance will become your new default. The third actionable step is to immerse yourself in an environment of abundance. Your mind is like a garden. If you constantly allow weeds of scarcity from your environment to take root, your garden will suffer. You need to be a ruthless gatekeeper of what you allow into your mind. Take a hard look at your daily inputs. What are you watching on the news? Most news outlets thrive on fear and scarcity because it grabs attention. They report on market crashes, not market highs. They focus on job losses, not on the millions of new businesses being created. For the next 30 days, I challenge you to go on a low information diet. Drastically reduce your consumption of mainstream news. Instead, use that time to feed your mind with abundance. Read books by self-made millionaires. Listen to podcasts about business, investing, and personal growth. Follow social media accounts that inspire you and showcase success and possibility. You must intentionally and consistently feed your mind with evidence that abundance is real and achievable for you. Your environment also includes the people you spend the most time with. The famous speaker Jim Rohn said that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If your inner circle is constantly complaining about being broke, gossiping about others, and focusing on problems, their scarcity mindset will inevitably infect you. It is like secondhand smoke. You do not have to cut these people out of your life completely, but you must be intentional about seeking out and spending more time with people who have an abundance mindset. Find people who are optimistic, who talk about ideas and opportunities, who support your ambitions. Join online communities, attend local business meetups, find a mentor. Surround yourself with the energy you want to embody. The fourth actionable step is to practice gratitude. This may sound simple, but it is one of the most powerful mindset shifts you can possibly make. Scarcity focuses on what is missing. Gratitude focuses on what you already have. It is impossible to feel both scarcity and gratitude at the same exact moment. Gratitude always wins. Every single morning before you get out of bed, or every evening before you go to sleep, I want you to write down 3 to 5 things you are genuinely grateful for. And do not just make a list. Really feel the emotion of gratitude. If you are grateful for your home, take a moment to feel the safety and comfort it provides. If you are grateful for a friend, feel the warmth of that connection. This practice trains your brain to scan your world for the good. When you start your day from a place of gratitude, you carry that abundant energy with you. You will start to notice more opportunities, more things to be thankful for. Wealthy people do not become grateful when they get rich. They become rich, in part, because they were grateful to begin with. Gratitude opens the door to receiving more. It signals to the universe and to your own subconscious mind that you are ready and open for more abundance to flow into your life. Now let's move on to the second pillar of the Millionaire Mind Blueprint, viewing money as a tool. For the vast majority of people, money is one thing and one thing only, something to be spent. They work hard all week, they get their paycheck, and then they use that money to buy things. They buy food, they pay for their housing, they buy clothes, they buy entertainment. The money comes in and the money goes right back out. It is a one-way street. For the wealthy, this is a completely alien concept. They understand a profound truth. Money is not just for spending. Money is a tool. More specifically, money is a worker. Every single dollar you have has the potential to be a loyal, hard-working employee for you. An employee that works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, never complains, never takes a vacation, and its only job is to go out into the world and make more money for you. This is the single biggest conceptual shift you must make to move from a consumer mindset to a wealth creator mindset. Let me repeat that, because it is so important. Every dollar you save and invest is like hiring a tiny employee that works for you. When that employee earns money, say through interest or dividends, that new money also becomes a tiny employee. And then those employees have employees. This is the magic of compound interest, which Albert Einstein reportedly called the eighth wonder of the world. It is the process of your money earning money on itself. The 1% understand this on a cellular level. They do not work for money. They make money work for them. So how do you start putting this into practice? You must adopt the habit of paying yourself first. This is a non-negotiable rule of wealth building. Most people do it the other way around. They get their paycheck, they pay all their bills, they spend on wants, and then, if there's anything left over at the end of the month, they might save it. This is a recipe for staying broke forever. The wealthy flip the script entirely. The very first bill they pay every single time they receive income is the bill to their future self. Before they pay the rent, before they pay the car note, before they buy a single coffee, they move a portion of their income into a separate account dedicated solely to investing. It is not about how much you can invest at first. It is about building the habit. Whether it is 1% of your income, 5%, or 10%, the key is to make it automatic. Set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to your investment account for the day after you get paid. This way, you never even see the money. You remove temptation and willpower from the equation. You are treating your future wealth as the most important expense you have. This simple, automated habit is the foundation of almost every great fortune. Now, what do you do with this money you are paying yourself? This is where your new employees go to work. The world of investing can seem intimidating, but at its core, it is simple. You are buying assets. An asset is anything that has the potential to put money in your pocket. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. The poor and middle class buy liabilities they think are assets, like expensive cars, brand new electronics, and designer clothes. These things lose value the moment you buy them and often cost you more money in maintenance and insurance. The rich, on the other hand, use their money to buy assets. They buy things like stocks, which are small ownership stakes in successful companies. They buy real estate that generates rental income. They invest in businesses that produce profits. They buy assets that work for them and generate more and more income over time. Getting started does not have to be complicated. You can open an investment account online in a matter of minutes. You can start by investing in something called a low-cost index fund. This is a simple way to buy a tiny piece of hundreds or even thousands of the biggest companies in the world all at once. It is diversified, it is simple, and it has historically been one of the most reliable ways to build wealth over the long term. The key is not to try and time the market or pick the next hot stock. The key is consistency. By automatically investing a set amount of money every single month, you are practicing what is called dollar cost averaging. Sometimes you will buy when the price is high, and sometimes you will buy when the price is low. Over time, it averages out and allows you to build wealth steadily and predictably. You are building an army of dollar employees that is growing larger and larger every single month. Another way the wealthy use money as a tool is to buy back their time. Time is the one resource that is truly finite. You can always make more money, but you can never make more time. The 1% understand this, and they guard their time fiercely. They see a direct trade-off between time and money, and they are more than willing to spend money to save time. This is a concept that is often difficult for people with a scarcity mindset to grasp. Someone with a scarcity mindset will spend 3 hours driving all over town to save $10 on groceries. They will spend their entire Saturday mowing their own lawn to save $50. They think they are being frugal, but they are trading their most valuable asset, their time, for a tiny amount of money. An abundant thinker, a wealthy thinker, asks a different question. They ask, what is the highest and best use of my time? They know their time might be worth $100, $200, or even $1,000 an hour when focused on their business, their career, or their investments. So, does it make sense for them to spend an hour doing a $10 an hour task like cleaning their house? Absolutely not. They see it as a smart business decision to pay someone else to do those tasks. This frees up their time and mental energy to focus on activities that generate far more value. You can start applying this principle to your own life right now, even on a small budget. Identify the tasks in your life that you dislike, and that consume a lot of time, but do not generate income or joy. It could be grocery shopping, house cleaning, laundry, or yard work. Now, explore how you could use money as a tool to buy back some of that time. Could you use a grocery delivery service? Even if it costs a few extra dollars, what could you do with the 90 minutes you just saved? Could you read a book that will improve your skills? Could you work on a side business? Could you spend quality time with your family, which recharges your batteries? Start small. Maybe you hire a neighborhood teenager to mow your lawn once a month. The point is to begin thinking like a CEO of your own life. Your time is your most precious asset. Delegate the low-value tasks so you can focus on the high-value ones. This is a fundamental shift from seeing money as just for buying things to seeing it as a resource for buying freedom and efficiency. The final pillar of the Millionaire Mind Blueprint we will cover in this chapter is taking ownership. This is about radical personal responsibility. The 1% have a core belief that they are the creators of their own lives. They believe they are at the cause of their results, not at the effect of them. They hold the steering wheel of their life with both hands. In contrast, people with a scarcity or victim mindset believe that life happens to them. They blame external factors for their lack of success. They blame the government. They blame the economy. They blame their boss, their parents, or their lack of education. Blame is the language of failure. When you blame someone or something else, you are giving away your power. You are saying, I am not in control. Someone else is. If someone else is in control, then you have to wait for them to change in order for your life to get better. And that is a recipe for a life of frustration and helplessness. Self-made millionaires do not blame. They take 100% responsibility for everything in their financial lives, the good, the bad, and the ugly. If they make a bad investment, they do not blame their financial advisor or the stock market. They say, I made a mistake. What can I learn from this so I don't repeat it? If they get laid off from a job, they do not just complain about the company. They ask themselves, what skills can I acquire to make myself more valuable in the marketplace? How can I create my own sources of income so I am not dependent on a single employer? This mindset is not about being harsh on yourself. It is about empowering yourself. When you take full responsibility, you reclaim your power to change your circumstances. If you are the cause of your results, then you can also be the cause of new and better results. You are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are the architect of your destiny. So how do you cultivate this sense of radical ownership? The first actionable step is to eliminate all blaming, complaining, and justifying from your vocabulary and your thought patterns. For the next 30 days, I want you to go on a complaint fast. Make a conscious commitment that you will not complain about anything, especially not about money. Whenever you catch yourself about to complain about a bill being too high or your paycheck being too small, stop. Instead, ask yourself a power question. A power question is one that focuses on solutions, not problems. Instead of complaining, my rent is so expensive, ask, what are 3 ways I could increase my income this month to make the rent feel more manageable? Instead of saying, taxes are killing me, ask, how can I learn more about the tax code to legally and ethically reduce my tax burden? Complaining puts you in a passive, powerless state. Asking solution-focused questions puts you in a creative, powerful state. This is a difficult challenge, but it will fundamentally change your orientation to the world. You will shift from being a problem spotter to a solution seeker. And solution seekers are the ones who get rich. The second actionable step is to conduct a fearless financial inventory. You cannot take ownership of something if you do not know what it is. Many people are afraid to look at their true financial picture. They avoid looking at their credit card statements. They have no idea how much they actually spend each month. They are operating in a state of willful ignorance. But you cannot change what you do not acknowledge. So your task is to sit down and get brutally honest with yourself. Calculate your exact net worth. This is simply the value of everything you own, your assets minus everything you owe, your liabilities. Do not judge the number. It is just a starting point. Next, track every single dollar you spend for 30 days. Every coffee, every subscription, every impulse buy. Use an app or a simple notebook. Again, the goal is not to judge yourself, but to gather data. You need to know where your money is actually going, not where you think it is going. This exercise can be a huge wake-up call. It brings your unconscious spending habits into conscious awareness. Once you have this clear picture, you can take ownership of it. You can see the areas where you are leaking money. You can identify the habits that are not serving your financial goals. And from this place of clarity and ownership, you can create a new plan. A plan that is based on reality, not on hope or denial. The third actionable to cultivate ownership is to invest in your own financial education. No one is going to care more about your money than you do. Not your banker, not your advisor, and certainly not the government. You must take ownership of your own learning. In today's world, there is absolutely no excuse for financial ignorance. All the information you could ever need is available, often for free. Read at least one book about personal finance or investing every month. Listen to financial podcasts during your commute. Watch educational videos on YouTube that explain financial concepts in simple terms. The more you learn, the more confident you will become. You will move from being an intimidated participant in the economy to being an informed and empowered player. The 1% are not necessarily geniuses, but they are committed to lifelong learning, especially in the area of finance. They understand that the investment they make in their own financial knowledge pays the highest return of all. Start today. Commit to becoming a student of wealth. Your future self will thank you for it. So let's recap the blueprint of the millionaire mind. It is built on 3 unshakable pillars. First, you must shift your core operating system from scarcity to abundance. You must believe, truly believe, that you live in a world of opportunity and that there is more than enough to go around. You do this by becoming aware of your scarcity thoughts, reframing them, curating an environment of abundance, and practicing daily gratitude. Second, you must stop seeing money as something to be spent and start seeing it as a tool, as an army of employees that can work for you. You do this by paying yourself first, automatically investing in assets, and using money to buy back your precious time. And third, you must take radical, 100% ownership of your financial life. You do this by eliminating blame and complaining, conducting a fearless financial inventory, and committing to your own continuous financial education. This is the foundation. Everything else we will discuss in this audiobook builds upon this mindset. You can learn all the best strategies and tactics in the world, but if your underlying blueprint is faulty, if it is based on scarcity, consumption, and blame, your structure will eventually collapse. But if you build your financial house on the solid bedrock of abundance, stewardship, and ownership, you will be building a fortress of wealth that can stand the test of time. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. You have taken that first crucial step today, just by listening and opening your mind to these ideas. Your new life is not something that will happen to you in the future. It begins right now, with the very next thought you choose to think. Choose abundance. Choose ownership. Choose to be the architect of your dreams. You have everything you need to begin, and the power has been inside you all along. Let's unlock it together. Chapter 2. The Habits of the High Achievers. If the first chapter was about building the mental blueprint for wealth, this chapter is about laying the bricks. A perfect blueprint is useless without action, and consistent, disciplined action is what we call a habit. Success, especially financial success, is not the result of a single heroic effort. It is not about winning the lottery or landing one lucky deal. It is the cumulative effect of small, smart choices, repeated day in and day out, over and over again, until they become as automatic as breathing. The 1% are not superhuman. They have simply mastered the art of building and maintaining habits that support their goals, while the majority of people are slaves to habits that sabotage theirs. In this chapter, we will deconstruct the 3 cornerstone habits that you will find in almost every single high-achieving, wealthy individual. These are not complex esoteric secrets. They are simple, fundamental practices that, when applied with consistency, will have a profound and revolutionary impact on your financial life. We will explore the habit of lifelong learning, the critical understanding that health is wealth, and the non-negotiable practice of strategic planning. Get ready to move from thinking to doing. This is where your new reality begins to take shape, one deliberate action at a time. The first and arguably most important habit of the wealthy is an insatiable commitment to lifelong learning. Your formal education might have ended when you received a diploma, but your self-education is what will truly make you your fortune. In the fast-paced, ever-changing world we live in, the most dangerous phrase you can ever think is, "I already know that." The moment you stop learning, you start stagnating. And in the world of finance and business, stagnation is a death sentence. The wealthy do not see learning as a chore or something that was confined to their school years. They see it as the single greatest investment they can possibly make. They understand that the more they learn, the more they can potentially earn. They know that knowledge gives them an edge, an unfair advantage in a competitive world. The knowledge you acquire is one of the few assets that no one can ever take away from you. It cannot be lost in a market crash or a lawsuit. In fact, it is the very tool that allows you to rebuild and recover from any setback. Your greatest asset is not your house, your car, or even your bank account. Your greatest asset is the 6 inches of real estate between your ears, your mind. And the habit of lifelong learning is how you fertilize and cultivate that asset to produce a harvest of wealth for the rest of your life. Let's look at the evidence. It is widely reported that the average chief executive officer reads between 50 and 60 books per year. That is roughly 1 book every single week. In stark contrast, the average person reads only a handful of books per year, if that. Do you think this is a coincidence? The world's most successful people, the ones with the most demands on their time, make reading and learning a top priority. Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest men on the planet, has said that he spends up to 80% of his day reading. He is not reading for entertainment. He is reading to gather information, to learn, to think. He is constantly feeding his mind. This is a habit you can begin to cultivate this very day, regardless of your current income or education level. The beautiful thing about knowledge is that it is the great equalizer. With a library card or an internet connection, you have access to more information than kings and presidents had just a century ago. The question is not about access, it is about your willingness to use it. So how do you build the habit of lifelong learning? Let's break it down into actionable steps. The first step is to commit to reading every single day. We are not talking about reading for hours on end. We are talking about starting small and building momentum. I want you to start with the 30-minute rule. Commit to reading for a minimum of 30 minutes every single day, without exception. This is non-negotiable. Treat it with the same importance as eating a meal or brushing your teeth. You can find 30 minutes. You can wake up 15 minutes earlier and read. You can read during your lunch break. You can read for 30 minutes before you go to bed instead of scrolling through social media. The key is to schedule it and protect that time. What should you read? Your reading diet should be varied, but with a specific focus on your goals. At least half of your reading should be non-fiction books in areas that will improve your life. Read books on personal finance, investing, business, psychology, communication, and negotiation. These are the skills that build wealth. Also, make sure to read biographies of successful people. Reading a biography is like having a multimillionaire mentor you for the price of a book. You get to learn from their decades of triumphs and, more importantly, their mistakes in just a few hours. The second step is to practice active reading. Do not just let the words wash over you. Engage with the material. Keep a pen or a highlighter with you. Underline key passages. Write notes in the margins. When you finish a chapter, take 2 minutes to write down the 1 or 2 biggest ideas you learned. Most importantly, constantly ask yourself one question. How can I apply this? Knowledge without action is useless. If you read a great idea about saving money, apply it immediately. If you learn a new communication technique, practice it in your next conversation. The goal is not to become a walking encyclopedia of trivia. The goal is to acquire practical wisdom that you can use to improve your life and your financial situation. A single idea from a single book, when applied, can be worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars over your lifetime. The third step is to look beyond books. We live in the golden age of self-education. You can turn any dead time into productive learning time. I am talking about your commute, your time doing chores, or your time at the gym. This is where you implement the concept of a university on wheels. Instead of listening to the radio or mindless music, listen to educational podcasts or audiobooks. There are thousands of incredible podcasts on finance, investing, and entrepreneurship, available completely for free. You can learn from the world's leading experts while you are stuck in traffic. This single habit can give you the equivalent of a college education in your field in just a few years. You also need to be ruthless about curating your online content consumption. Your social media feed can be a source of distraction and envy, or it can be a personalized learning tool. Unfollow accounts that make you feel bad about yourself or that waste your time. Instead, follow experts, thought leaders, and successful entrepreneurs in the fields you want to master. Use platforms like YouTube for learning tutorials and watching educational presentations. Be intentional. Every piece of content you consume is either moving you closer to your goals or further away from them. Choose wisely. The fourth actionable step is to commit to mastering a new skill, specifically a high-income skill. A high-income skill is something the marketplace values highly and is willing to pay a premium for. Examples include copywriting, sales, digital marketing, computer programming, public speaking, or negotiation. Acquiring a new, valuable skill is one of the fastest and most reliable ways to dramatically increase your earning potential. You do not need to go back to college and get another 4-year degree. You can learn many of these skills online through courses and certifications, often at a very low cost. Pick one skill that interests you and that is in high demand. Then, dedicate the next 6 to 12 months to becoming truly proficient in it. Use your reading time, your podcast time, and your weekend time to immerse yourself in this one skill. This focused effort to increase your value in the marketplace is a core habit of high achievers. They are never satisfied with their current skill set. They are always looking for the next thing to learn that will give them a greater capacity to solve problems and create value. And remember, the more value you can create for others, the more money you will make. Your income is a direct reflection of the value you provide. To earn more, you must learn more. The second cornerstone habit of the high achievers is the unwavering belief that health is wealth. You can have all the money in the world. You can have $1 billion in the bank. But if you do not have your health, you have nothing. It is the one asset that is truly irreplaceable. The wealthy understand that their body and their mind are the engine that drives their success. Building a business, managing investments, and performing at a high level requires immense amounts of energy, focus, and mental clarity. A body that is run down, tired, and sick cannot support a mind that needs to be sharp, creative, and resilient. Many people sacrifice their health in the pursuit of wealth, thinking they will take care of their bodies later once they have made it. This is a fool's bargain. The 1% do the opposite. They make their physical and mental well-being a top, non-negotiable priority because they know it is the very foundation upon which their financial success is built. Think about it in purely economic terms. When you are healthy, you are more productive. You have more energy to work longer and smarter. You have more mental clarity to make better decisions. You are more creative in solving problems. You also have fewer sick days, and perhaps most importantly, you dramatically reduce your risk of incurring massive medical expenses later in life, which is one of the leading causes of bankruptcy. Investing in your health is not an expense. It is an investment with one of the highest returns on investment you can possibly find. It pays you dividends every single day in the form of energy, focus, and longevity. Neglecting your health to work more is like trying to build a skyscraper on a foundation of sand. Eventually, the entire structure will come crashing down. So, how do you cultivate the habit of prioritizing your health like the wealthy do? It comes down to focusing on 3 key pillars: sleep, movement, and fuel. Let's start with the first actionable step, which is to prioritize sleep. We live in a hustle culture that often glorifies a lack of sleep as a badge of honor. This is not only foolish, it is incredibly destructive. Sleep is not a luxury, it is a biological necessity. It is during sleep that your body repairs itself, your brain consolidates memories and clears out metabolic waste, and your hormones regulate themselves. Chronic sleep deprivation leads to impaired cognitive function, poor decision-making, increased stress, and a weakened immune system. You simply cannot perform at your best if you are not well rested. The world's top performers, from athletes like LeBron James to executives like Jeff Bezos, are known to prioritize getting a full night's sleep. Your action step is to aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night. To achieve this, you need to create a consistent sleep routine. Go to bed and wake up at roughly the same time every day, even on weekends. Create a relaxing wind-down ritual in the hour before bed. This could include turning off all screens, which emit blue light that disrupts your sleep hormones, reading a physical book, taking a warm bath, or light stretching. Make your bedroom a sanctuary for sleep, dark, cool, and quiet. This single habit will have a cascading positive effect on every other area of your life. The second pillar is movement. Your body was designed to move. A sedentary lifestyle is a recipe for chronic disease and low energy. Now, this does not mean you need to start training for a marathon tomorrow. The key, like with all habits, is consistency, not intensity. The action step here is to incorporate some form of movement into your daily routine. The simplest and most accessible form of exercise is walking. Aim for a 30-minute brisk walk every day. It is free, it is low impact, and the benefits are enormous. It improves cardiovascular health, boosts your mood, and can help you think more clearly. If you want to do more, that is great. Find an activity you genuinely enjoy, whether it is weightlifting, yoga, swimming, or dancing. The best exercise is the one you will actually stick with. The goal is to make movement a non-negotiable part of your day, just like sleeping and eating. It is your daily investment in your physical and mental energy. The third pillar is fuel. The food you put into your body is the fuel that powers your brain and your muscles. If you put low-quality fuel in a high-performance car, it will run poorly. The same is true for your body. The wealthy are often very conscious of what they eat, not for reasons of vanity, but for reasons of performance. You do not need to adopt a complicated or restrictive diet. The actionable step is to focus on one simple principle: eat real food. This means focusing your diet on whole, unprocessed foods like vegetables, fruits, lean proteins, and healthy fats. At the same time, make a conscious effort to reduce or eliminate highly processed foods, sugary drinks, and excessive junk food. These foods cause energy crashes, brain fog, and inflammation, all of which are enemies of high performance. A simple rule to follow is the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, focus on eating clean, healthy foods. The other 20% of the time, allow yourself some flexibility to enjoy your favorite treats. This approach is sustainable and prevents you from feeling deprived. And do not forget hydration. Your brain is mostly water. Even mild dehydration can impair cognitive function and cause fatigue. Make it a habit to drink plenty of water throughout the day. Keep a water bottle on your desk as a constant reminder. Beyond the physical, we must also address mental health. The journey to wealth is a marathon filled with stress, uncertainty, and pressure. Protecting your mental and emotional well-being is paramount. One of the most powerful habits for this is the practice of stillness. This could be through meditation, mindfulness, or simply spending a few minutes in quiet reflection each day. The action step is to start with just 5 minutes of mindfulness a day. Sit in a quiet place, close your eyes, and simply focus on your breath. Your mind will wander, and that is okay. The practice is to gently bring your focus back to your breath over and over again. This simple exercise trains your ability to focus, reduces stress, and helps you become less reactive to your emotions. This is crucial for making sound financial decisions, which we will cover in the next chapter. Another key habit for mental health is to schedule a regular digital detox. The constant barrage of notifications, emails, and social media comparison is a major source of modern anxiety. Deliberately schedule time each day or each week where you completely disconnect from your devices. This allows your mind to rest, recharge, and be present in the real world. Taking care of your health is not selfish. It is the most responsible thing you can do for your future, your family, and your finances. The third cornerstone habit of the high achievers is strategic planning. Wealthy people do not just stumble into success. They are architects of their future. They operate with a level of intention and foresight that is rare. While most people are adrift in the river of life, being carried by the currents of circumstance, the wealthy have a map, a compass, and a rudder. They know their destination, and they have a plan for how to get there. A goal without a plan is just a wish. It is a vague, powerless desire. A plan, on the other hand, transforms a wish into a concrete set of objectives and actions. It gives you clarity, it focuses your energy, and it provides a roadmap to follow, especially when you encounter obstacles or feel lost. Planning allows you to be proactive, to shape your life, rather than being reactive and constantly putting out fires. The habit of planning is what turns the invisible dream in your mind into a visible reality in your world. So, how do you become a strategic planner for your own life? It starts with defining your destination. You cannot create a map if you do not know where you are going. The first actionable step is to create a crystal clear long-term vision for your life. I want you to perform an exercise. Take out a notebook and write at the top of the page, "My ideal life, 10 years from now." Now, write in vivid emotional detail what your perfect average day looks like in that future. Do not hold back. Where do you live? What does your house look like? Who do you wake up next to? What is the first thing you do in the morning? What kind of work do you do? And how many hours do you work? What do you do for fun? How do you feel physically and emotionally? And most importantly, what is your financial situation? Be specific. What is your net worth? How much passive income do you have coming in each month? The more detailed and emotionally compelling you can make this vision, the more powerful it will be. This vision becomes your North Star. It is the why that will fuel your motivation through the tough times. Once you have your long-term vision, the next step is to reverse engineer it into smaller, manageable goals. A 10-year goal can feel overwhelming, so we break it down. The second actionable step is to use the SMART goal-setting framework. This ensures your goals are not just vague dreams. Your goals must be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. For example, instead of a vague goal like, "I want to be rich," a SMART goal would be, "I will have a net worth of $1 million by December 31st, 2035, by saving and investing 20% of my income into a low-cost index fund and building a side business that generates an extra $1,000 per month." See the difference? That is a real target you can aim for. Now, take your 10-year vision and create 3 to 5 major SMART goals for what you need to accomplish in the next 1 to 2 years to be on track. With your yearly goals set, you need to bring your planning down to the weekly and daily level. This is where the magic of execution happens. The third actionable step is to implement a weekly planning ritual. Every Sunday evening, take 30 minutes to plan your week ahead. Look at your one-year goals and ask yourself, what are the most important things I can do this week to move me closer to those goals? Identify your top 3 to 5 most important tasks, or MITs, for the week. These are not your day-to-day errands. These are the needle-moving activities that will truly make a difference. Schedule these MITs into your calendar as if they were unbreakable appointments. If you do not control your schedule will control you. The fourth actionable step is to win the morning. The first 1 to 2 hours of your day set the tone for everything that follows. High achievers do not wake up and immediately check their email or social media. That is a reactive posture that allows other people's agendas to dictate their day. Instead, they have a powerful morning routine designed to put them in a proactive, focused state. This routine often includes some of the habits we have already discussed: a few minutes of mindfulness, some form of exercise, and a healthy breakfast. Crucially, they use this quiet, uninterrupted time to work on their single most important task for the day before the chaos of the world begins. By the time most people are having their first cup of coffee, the high achiever has already secured a significant win. Plan your day the night before. Know exactly what your number one priority is when you wake up. This habit alone can double your productivity. Finally, the fifth actionable step is to conduct a regular review and adjustment. A plan is not meant to be a rigid, unchangeable document. It is a guide. Life will inevitably throw you curveballs. You need to be able to adapt. At the end of each week, during your Sunday planning ritual, take 10 minutes to conduct a weekly review. Ask yourself 3 simple questions. What went well this week? What did not go so well? And what will I do differently next week? This simple feedback loop allows you to learn from your experiences, correct your course, and constantly improve. It ensures that your plan remains a living, breathing tool that serves you rather than a source of stress. You are the chief executive officer of your own life. These planning habits are how you effectively run your own personal corporation. By defining your vision, setting clear goals, planning your weeks, winning your mornings, and constantly reviewing your progress, you move from being a passive passenger to being the empowered captain of your financial destiny. You are no longer hoping for a better future. You are actively and strategically building it, one day at a time. Chapter 3. The emotional currency of wealth. If you have followed the journey so far, you have constructed the mental blueprint of a millionaire, and you have begun to lay the foundation with powerful, consistent habits. But there is another dimension to wealth creation that is often overlooked, a force so powerful it can shatter even the most perfect plans and mindsets. That force is emotion. We like to think of ourselves as rational beings, especially when it comes to money. We believe we make financial decisions based on logic, data, and careful calculation. But the truth is, 90% of our financial decisions are driven by powerful primal emotions that we are often not even consciously aware of. Money is not just numbers on a screen or paper in your wallet. Money is emotional. It is tangled up with our deepest feelings of security, freedom, self-worth, and power. It is this emotional charge that makes us behave in illogical and often self-destructive ways. The greatest battle you will ever fight on your journey to wealth is not with the stock market, the economy, or your competition. The greatest battle will be fought within your own mind against your own emotional impulses. In this chapter, we are going to dive deep into the emotional currency of wealth. We will confront the 2 most powerful forces in finance: fear and greed. We will learn to cultivate the 2 superpowers of the wealthy: patience and discipline. And we will explore how to build the unbreakable spirit of financial resilience. Mastering your emotions is the final, crucial key to unlocking lasting wealth. This is where you learn to become the master of your money by first becoming the master of yourself. Let's begin by confronting the 2 great puppet masters of all financial markets and all personal finance decisions: fear and greed. These 2 emotions are like the Jekyll and Hyde of your financial personality. They are primal, deeply ingrained in our evolutionary wiring, and they are responsible for more lost fortunes and financial misery than any other factor. Understanding how they operate within you is the first step to disarming them. The legendary investor Warren Buffett summed up the ultimate strategy for dealing with these emotions when he said, "We simply attempt to be fearful when others are greedy, and to be greedy only when others are fearful." This sounds simple, but it is one of the hardest things to do in practice, because it requires you to act directly against the powerful pull of the crowd and your own internal emotional storms. Let's first dissect fear. Financial fear wears many masks. there is the fear of losing money, which is perhaps the most common. This is the fear that keeps people from investing at all, forcing them to leave their savings in a bank account where it is slowly and silently eaten away by inflation. They are so afraid of the potential for a small temporary loss that they guarantee a slow, permanent loss of purchasing power. Then there is the fear of missing out, or FOMO. This is the fear that everyone else is getting rich without you. You see a stock or a cryptocurrency soaring in value. You hear stories of people making fortunes overnight, and an intense anxiety builds inside you. This fear drives you to abandon your strategy and jump into a speculative investment at the very peak of its price, often right before it crashes. Fear also manifests as the fear of failure, which can paralyze you from starting a business or asking for a raise. And ironically, there is even a fear of success, a subconscious fear that you are not worthy of wealth, or that achieving it will change your life in scary, unpredictable ways. This fear is not a character flaw. It is a biological response. Your brain's amygdala, its ancient threat detection system, cannot tell the difference between a charging saber-toothed tiger and a plunging stock market chart. It sees a threat and triggers a fight or flight response. It floods your body with cortisol and adrenaline, shuts down your rational, long-term thinking prefrontal cortex, and urges you to do something, anything, to make the perceived threat go away. In the stock market, this response is what causes people to panic and sell everything at the bottom of a crash, locking in their losses. In your career, it is what makes you stay in a job you hate because the uncertainty of leaving feels too threatening. Acting from a place of fear is almost always a losing strategy in finance. On the opposite side of the emotional spectrum is greed. Greed is the intoxicating desire for more, faster. It is the siren song of get rich quick. Greed is what fuels speculative bubbles. When an investment is going up and up, and the stories of easy money are everywhere, our brains get a hit of dopamine, the same pleasure chemical associated with gambling and drugs. This dopamine rush clouds our judgment. We stop asking critical questions. We forget about fundamentals and due diligence. We convince ourselves that this time it's different. Greed makes you take on far too much risk. It might tempt you to put all your money into one speculative bet, or to go into massive debt to fund a risky venture. Greed is also the driving force behind lifestyle inflation. As soon as you get a raise or a bonus, greed whispers in your ear that you deserve a new car, a bigger house, a more expensive vacation. This ensures that no matter how much money you make, you are always living on a treadmill, never actually building real wealth. Greed, like fear, silences your rational mind and puts your impulsive, short-sighted emotional brain in the driver's seat. So, how do we tame these two powerful beasts? How do we follow Buffett's advice and act with logic when everyone around us is losing their minds? It requires creating systems that protect you from your own worst emotional impulses. The first and most powerful actionable step is to create a written financial plan. We discussed planning in the last chapter, but here we see its emotional power. Your written plan is a contract you make with your rational, calm self. It should clearly state your long-term goals, your investment strategy, and your rules for buying and selling. For example, your plan might state, I will invest 10% of my income every month into a global index fund, regardless of what the market is doing. I will not sell unless I am rebalancing my portfolio or have reached my financial goal for retirement. When a market crash happens and your fear is screaming at you to sell, you pull out this document. It is the voice of your rational self, reminding your emotional self of the long-term plan. It is your anchor in a sea of emotional chaos. The second actionable step is to automate as many of your financial decisions as possible. The best way to remove destructive emotion from a decision is to make the decision before the emotion shows up. This is why automating your finances is a superpower. Set up an automatic transfer to your investment account for the day after you get paid. This removes the temptation to spend that money, a temptation driven by greed. It also forces you to practice dollar cost averaging, which is a powerful antidote to fear and greed. By investing a fixed amount regularly, you automatically buy more shares when prices are low. which is when fear is high and most people are selling, and you buy fewer shares when prices are high, which is when greed is rampant. Automation makes you systematically do the opposite of the emotional crowd, enforcing Buffett's rule without you even having to think about it. The third actionable step is to implement a mandatory waiting period for major financial decisions. For any non-essential purchase over a certain amount, say $200, enforce a strict 24-hour or even a 7-day waiting period. This simple rule creates a cooling-off period. It allows the initial emotional impulse of greed or FOMO to subside and gives your rational prefrontal cortex time to come back online and evaluate the decision logically. Do I really need this? Does it align with my long-term goals? What is the opportunity cost of this purchase? You can apply the same rule to investment decisions. If you hear about a hot stock tip, do not rush to buy it. Put it on a research list and give yourself a 1-week waiting period to do your own due diligence before you are allowed to act. This habit alone will save you from countless emotionally driven financial mistakes. The fourth actionable step is to stop looking at your investments so often. Constantly checking your portfolio is like picking at a scab. You are just agitating it and preventing it from healing and growing. The daily fluctuations of the market are meaningless noise. They are driven by the chaotic whims of fear and greed on a massive scale. Focusing on this noise will trigger your own fear and greed. Instead, commit to checking your portfolio on a set, infrequent schedule. Once a quarter is more than enough for a long-term investor. This strategic ignorance protects your emotional state and allows you to focus on the long-term trend, which is what actually matters for building wealth. By creating a plan, automating your actions, enforcing waiting periods, and reducing your exposure to market noise, you are building a fortress of logic and systems that will protect your wealth from its greatest enemy, your own unchecked emotions. Now, let's move on to the 2 superpowers that the wealthy cultivate to combat fear and greed and to build lasting fortunes: patience and discipline. In our modern world of instant gratification, where you can get food, entertainment, and information with the click of a button, patience has become a rare and incredibly valuable commodity. We have been trained to expect immediate results. But real wealth is not built overnight. It is not a microwave meal. It is a slow-cooked stew. The ingredients need time to marinate and develop. The magic ingredient that fuels the entire process of wealth creation is compound interest. And the fuel for compound interest is time. Patience is the ability to give your money the time it needs to grow. Let me tell you a quick story to illustrate this. Imagine you are offered 2 choices. Choice A is $1 million in cash right now. Choice B is a single penny that doubles in value every day for 31 days. Most people, driven by a desire for instant gratification, would take the $1 million, and for the first couple of weeks, they would feel like a genius. After 7 days, the penny is worth a mere 64 cents. After 20 days, the penny is worth about $52,000. The $1 million person is still laughing. But then, the magic begins to happen. On day 28, the penny is worth over $1.3 million. On day 30, it is worth over $5.3 million. And on the final day, day 31, that single penny has grown to $10,737,418. This is the power of compounding. The biggest, most explosive growth happens at the end. Patience is the quality that allows you to stay in the game long enough to see the explosive growth on day 31. The impatient person cashes out on day 20 for a paltry sum, missing out on the real fortune. Building wealth is a long game. You must have the patience to stick with your plan through years and even decades of slow, sometimes boring growth, knowing that the real reward is on the other side. If patience is the ability to wait for the reward, discipline is the ability to do the necessary work while you wait, even when you do not feel like it. Discipline is the engine of execution. It is the bridge between your goals and your accomplishments. It is what makes you transfer money to your investment account when you would rather buy a new gadget. It is what makes you track your expenses when you would rather just ignore them. It is what makes you read a chapter of a finance book when you would rather watch television. Discipline is about choosing what you want most, your long-term financial freedom, over what you want now, a fleeting moment of pleasure or comfort. Willpower is a part of discipline, but relying on willpower alone is a losing strategy. Willpower is like a muscle that gets fatigued. The wealthy do not have more willpower than everyone else. They are just smarter about how they use it. They build systems and habits that make discipline easier. So, how do you cultivate these twin superpowers? The first actionable step to building discipline and patience is to start ridiculously small. The biggest mistake people make is trying to change everything at once. They go from saving nothing to trying to save 50% of their income. They burn out in a week and give up. The key is to build the identity first. If you want to be a saver and investor, you need to prove it to yourself with small, consistent wins. Your action step is to start a habit that is so easy you cannot possibly say no. For example, commit to saving just $1 a day. Just $1. Anyone can do that. Set up an automatic transfer for $1 a day from your checking account to a separate savings account. The amount is irrelevant at this stage. What you're doing is building the muscle of discipline. You are casting a vote for your new identity as a saver. Every day that the dollar transfers, you are reinforcing that identity. After a month of successfully saving $1 a day, you can increase it to $2, then $5, and so on. This atomic habits approach makes discipline feel effortless and builds unstoppable momentum over time. The second actionable step is to design your environment for success. Instead of relying on willpower to resist temptation, remove the temptation. Make your good habits easy and your bad habits difficult. If you are trying to stop impulse spending online, unsubscribe from all retail marketing emails. Delete shopping apps from your phone. Put your credit card in a drawer instead of saving it in your browser. Conversely, make your good habits obvious and easy. Put your personal finance book on your pillow so you see it before you go to sleep. Put a sticky note on your computer screen reminding you of your #1 financial goal. By curating your environment, you make discipline the path of least resistance. The third actionable step is to find and focus on your why. Discipline is incredibly difficult if it is not attached to a powerful emotional reason. Why do you want to build wealth? Get specific. Is it to have the freedom to quit a job you hate? Is it to provide a better life for your children? Is it to have the resources to travel the world or to start a foundation to help others? Your why is the fuel for your discipline. Write it down. Make it visible. Create a vision board with images that represent your goals. When your motivation wanes, and it will, reconnecting with your deep emotional why is what will give you the strength to keep going. The fourth actionable step to cultivate patience is to track your progress and celebrate your wins. The long journey of wealth building can feel discouraging because the rewards are often far in the future. To stay patient, you need to create short-term feedback loops. Create a simple chart where you track your net worth every month. Even if it is only going up by a small amount, seeing that upward trend is incredibly motivating. When you hit a small milestone, like saving your first $1,000 or making your 10th consecutive monthly investment, celebrate it. This does not mean you should go out and spend a bunch of money. The celebration could be a nice home-cooked meal, a relaxing evening with a movie, or simply taking a moment to acknowledge your achievement and feel proud of yourself. This process makes the long, patient journey feel more rewarding along the way. The final element of emotional mastery is building financial resilience. Life is not a smooth, predictable journey. It is filled with unexpected twists and turns. You will face setbacks. You might lose a job, face a medical emergency, go through a divorce, or make a terrible investment. These events are not a matter of if, but when. The difference between those who build lasting wealth and those who do not is not that the wealthy avoid problems. It is that they have built the resilience to withstand them and bounce back from them, often stronger than before. Resilience is your financial shock absorber. Without it, the first major pothole in the road can shatter your entire financial life. The victim mindset, when faced with a setback, asks, "Why is this happening to me?" It leads to blame, complaining, and a sense of helpless. The resilient victor mindset asks, "What can I learn from this? And what do I do now?" It is a mindset of ownership and empowerment. This ties directly back to the principles in our first chapter. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a stepping stone on the path to success. Every financial mistake is a tuition payment for your real-world financial education. The key is to make sure you learn the lesson so you do not have to pay the tuition twice. How do you build this unbreakable financial spirit? The first and most practical actionable step is to build a financial fortress. And the cornerstone of that fortress is your emergency fund. An emergency fund is a stash of cash, typically 3 to 6 months' worth of essential living expenses, kept in a separate, easily accessible savings account. This is not investment money. This is life happens money. Having a fully funded emergency fund changes everything. It turns a potential catastrophe into a manageable inconvenience. If your car breaks down, it is not a crisis. It is just an expense you can cover. If you lose your job, you have a cushion of several months to find a new one without going into a panic or going into debt. Your emergency fund is the ultimate tool for resilience because it buys you time and options. It allows you to make decisions from a place of logic and security, not from a place of desperation and fear. Building this fund should be your #1 financial priority before you start investing heavily. The second actionable step is to diversify everything. You have probably heard the phrase, "Don't put all your eggs in one basket." This is fundamental to resilience. Most people think of this only in terms of investments, but the wealthy apply this concept to their entire financial life. Most importantly, they diversify their income streams. Relying on a single paycheck from a single job is one of the riskiest financial positions you can be in the 21st century. If that one income stream is cut off, your entire financial world collapses. To build resilience, you must work toward creating multiple streams of income. This could be starting a small side business, doing freelance work in the evenings, investing in dividend-paying stocks, or buying a rental property. It will not happen overnight, but you should always be thinking about how to add another stream of income. Even an extra $200 a month from a small side hustle dramatically increases your resilience. If one stream is reduced or eliminated, you have others to support you. The third actionable step is to actively reframe failure as feedback. When you experience a financial setback, it is natural to feel angry, embarrassed, or discouraged. Allow yourself to feel those emotions, but do not live there. Once the initial sting has passed, your job is to become a detective. Perform a post-mortem on the situation. What exactly happened? What was my role in the outcome? What was the specific mistake I made? What is the one key lesson I can take from this experience? And most importantly, how can I use this lesson to make better decisions in the future? When you adopt this mindset, failure loses its power over you. It is no longer a devastating endpoint, but simply a data point on your journey of learning and growth. Finally, the fourth actionable step for building resilience is to cultivate a strong support network. The journey to wealth can be a lonely one, and trying to weather financial storms by yourself is a recipe for burnout. You need people in your corner. This could be a mentor who has already been where you are going. It could be a mastermind group of like-minded peers who can offer different perspectives and hold you accountable. It could be a trusted friend or a supportive partner with whom you can be honest about your struggles and your fears. Sharing your burdens makes them lighter. Talking through a problem often reveals solutions you could not see on your own. Do not be afraid to be vulnerable and ask for help. Your network is a critical part of your emotional and financial safety net. Building wealth is an emotional journey. By mastering fear and greed, cultivating patience and discipline, and building unshakable resilience, you are not just building a bigger bank account. You are forging a stronger, more empowered and more capable version of yourself, ready to handle any challenge the world throws at you. Chapter 4: The Art of Intelligent Risk-Taking. Welcome to what may be the most psychologically challenging and yet most financially rewarding chapter in this entire audiobook. We have built our foundation. We have established the mindset of abundance. We have begun to install the daily habits of the high achievers, and we have confronted the emotional demons of fear and greed. Now, we must learn to dance with a concept that terrifies most people, but is the very lifeblood of wealth creation. That concept is risk. For the vast majority of the population, the word risk is synonymous with danger, loss, and irresponsibility. Their entire financial life is structured around the avoidance of risk. They seek the safety of a guaranteed paycheck, the security of a government-backed savings account, and the comfort of the predictable path. But the 1% understand a fundamental and unshakable truth of the universe. There is no reward without risk. Every great fortune, every breakthrough innovation, and every leap forward in human history was born from a willingness to venture into the unknown, to take a chance on an unproven idea, and to risk failure in the pursuit of a greater prize. The critical distinction, the one that separates the millionaire from the compulsive gambler, is in the type of risk they take. The wealthy are not reckless daredevils. They are masters of a specific skill, the art of intelligent, calculated risk-taking. They do not avoid risk, they study it, they measure it, they manage it, and they use it as a strategic tool to generate outsized returns. In this chapter, we are going to completely reframe your relationship with risk. We will dissect the crucial difference between calculated risks and reckless gambling. We will learn how to transform failure from a soul-crushing defeat into your most valuable teacher. And we will explore the practical, powerful strategy of diversification, which acts as the safety net that allows you to take those intelligent leaps of faith. Prepare to challenge some of your deepest held beliefs about safety and security. It is time to step out of the shallow end of the pool and learn how to navigate the deep waters where the real treasures are found. Let us begin by drawing a sharp, clear line in the sand between two concepts that are often confused: calculated risk and reckless gambling. On the surface, they can sometimes look similar. Both involve uncertainty. Both involve the potential for loss. But underneath, they are polar opposites, driven by entirely different mindsets and methodologies. Understanding this difference is the first and most crucial step to becoming an intelligent risk-taker. Reckless gambling is what the financially unsophisticated do. It is an activity fueled by emotion, specifically by desperation and greed, and it is built on a foundation of hope rather than strategy. The gambler is looking for a shortcut, a magic bullet, the one lucky break that will solve all their problems. They buy a lottery ticket, which has astronomical odds against them, because they are hoping for a miracle. They hear about a hot stock tip from a friend and pour all their savings into it without doing a single minute of research, hoping to catch a rocket to the moon. They go to a casino and put their money on a roulette wheel, a game of pure chance where the house has a guaranteed statistical advantage. In every one of these scenarios, the gambler is relinquishing control. They are closing their eyes, crossing their fingers, and praying for a favorable outcome. They have no edge, no superior knowledge, and no influence over the result. Their potential for loss is often 100%, while their probability of a win is minuscule. It is a game of fools and a surefire path to financial ruin. Calculated risk, on the other hand, is the domain of the strategic wealth builder. It is an activity rooted in logic, research, and a clear understanding of probabilities. The intelligent risk-taker is not looking for a shortcut. They are looking for an opportunity, an edge. They operate from a place of knowledge, not hope. Before they commit their capital, they do their homework. This is called due diligence. If they are considering investing in a company, they do not just look at the stock price. They read the company's annual reports. They study its business model, its leadership team, its competitive advantages, and its financial health. They analyze the industry it operates in and the potential for future growth. They are trying to answer one fundamental question: is this a high-quality asset that is likely to be worth more in the future? They are gathering information to reduce uncertainty and to stack the odds in their favor. A core principle of calculated risk is the concept of asymmetric risk and reward. This is a fancy way of saying that the potential upside of the decision is significantly greater than the potential downside. An intelligent risk taker looks for opportunities where they can risk $1 for the potential to make $5, $10, or even $100. Let's consider an example. Starting a low-cost online business could be a calculated risk. The potential downside is the few $100s you might spend on a website and some software, plus your time. This is a small, manageable loss, but the potential upside is enormous. The business could grow to generate thousands or even millions of dollars in revenue. The reward vastly outweighs the risk. Buying a lottery ticket, in contrast, has a terrible asymmetry. You are risking 100% of your money for a microscopic chance of a huge payout. The vast majority of the time, the outcome is a total loss. The wealthy look for the opposite, a small, defined risk for a massive potential reward. Another key differentiator is the existence of an exit strategy. A gambler has no plan for when to get out. They are either going to win it all or lose it all. An intelligent risk-taker defines their exit criteria before they ever enter the investment or the venture. For a stock investor, this might be a stop-loss order, which is an automatic instruction to sell the stock if it drops to a certain price, thereby limiting their potential loss. For an entrepreneur, it might be a set of predefined metrics that, if not met within a certain time frame, will trigger a decision to pivot the business model or shut it down. They know how much they are willing to lose before they start. This disciplined approach prevents a small, manageable loss from turning into a catastrophic one. It removes the emotion from the decision to exit because the decision was already made during a calm, rational state. So, how do you move from a gambler's mindset to that of a strategic risk-taker? It requires building a new set of skills and mental models. The first actionable step is to embrace the information principle. You must become a voracious learner in the specific area where you want to take risks. If you are interested in real estate, your job is to become the most knowledgeable person you know about your local market. Read books, take courses, talk to experienced investors, analyze deals every single day. Your knowledge is what gives you an edge. It allows you to see opportunities that others miss and to spot red flags that others ignore. Do not ever invest in something you do not understand. That is the cardinal rule. Your goal is to invest a minimum of 100 hours of study into any new area before you risk a single significant dollar. This investment of time is your first and most important line of defense against reckless gambling. The second actionable step is to adopt the start small and test methodology. This is the antidote to betting the farm on a single idea. Whatever new venture or investment you are considering, find a way to test it on a small, manageable scale first. If you want to start an e-commerce business, do not start by ordering $100,000 worth of inventory. Start with a small batch. Create a simple website. Run a few small, inexpensive online ads to see if people are actually interested in your product. This is called testing your hypothesis. You are gathering real-world data with minimal risk. If the test is successful and you prove your concept, you can then choose to invest more. If it fails, you have only lost a small amount of money, but you have gained an invaluable lesson. This iterative, experimental approach is at the heart of intelligent risk-taking. It allows you to make your mistakes when they are small and cheap, rather than large and devastating. The third actionable step is to master the art of the pre-mortem. We have heard of a post-mortem, which is an analysis of a project after it has failed. A pre-mortem is the opposite. Before you embark on a new venture, you gather your team, or simply sit down by yourself, and imagine that it is 1 year in the future and the project has failed completely. Now, brainstorm all the possible reasons why it failed. Did you run out of cash? Did a competitor beat you to market? Did you fail to find customers? This exercise forces you to confront potential obstacles and weaknesses in your plan before they happen. It moves you out of an optimistic, hope-based mindset and into a more realistic, strategic one. Once you have identified all the potential reasons for failure, You can then proactively develop strategies to mitigate those risks. This single exercise can dramatically increase your chances of success by helping you anticipate and prepare for challenges in advance. Now, let's address the inevitable consequence of taking risks: failure. For many people, the fear of failure is so profound that it paralyzes them from ever trying anything significant. Our school system and society often teach us that failure is bad, that it is something to be ashamed of. We are graded on getting the right answer and penalized for being wrong. This conditions us to play it safe, to only attempt things we know we can succeed at. The 1% have a completely different and far more empowering relationship with failure. They do not see failure as the opposite of success. They see it as an essential, non-negotiable part of the process of achieving success. They understand that you cannot learn to ride a bike without falling off a few times. Every fall is not a verdict on your character. It is simply feedback. It is the universe telling you, that approach did not work. Try something else. The legendary inventor Thomas Edison famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This is the mindset of a master of intelligent risk. Each failure was simply a data point that moved him closer to the solution. The wealthiest and most successful people in the world often have a longer list of failures than the average person has of attempts. The difference is that they did not quit. They learned from each failure and applied that lesson to their next attempt. The only true failure is the one from which you learn nothing. If you are not failing, it is a sign that you are not pushing yourself hard enough. You are staying in your comfort zone where there is no growth. The biggest risk of all is not taking any risks. In a world that is constantly changing, the person who plays it safe and relies on the status quo is the one who will eventually be left behind. The job that seems secure today may be automated tomorrow. The safe investment of yesterday may be obsolete in a decade. The only true security comes from your ability to adapt, to learn, and to grow. And that ability is forged in the fire of trial and error. So how do you develop a healthier, more productive relationship with failure? It begins with a conscious mental reframing. The first actionable step is to decouple your identity from your results. You must understand that your performance is not your personhood. A failed business venture does not make you a failure. It means you are a person who ran a business that did not succeed. This is a subtle but profound linguistic and psychological shift. Your self-worth must be unconditional. It is not tied to your net worth, your job title, or the outcome of your latest project. One way to practice this is through journaling. When you experience a setback, write about it, but be very deliberate in your language. Describe the event objectively, without attaching labels to yourself. Focus on your effort, your courage for trying, and the lessons you learned, rather than just the outcome. The second actionable step is to conduct a structured failure post-mortem, which we touched on in the last chapter. When a project or investment goes wrong, resist the urge to just sweep it under the rug and forget about it. Instead, schedule a time to analyze it without emotional blame. Ask yourself a series of structured questions. 1. What was I trying to accomplish? 2. What was the actual outcome? 3. What is the gap between the intended and actual outcome? 4. What were the contributing factors to this gap? Be honest with yourself. Did you fail to do enough research? Did you let your emotions drive your decision? Did you underestimate the competition? 5. What is the single most important lesson I can take from this experience? And 6. How will I integrate this lesson into my process for the future? This structured analysis turns a painful failure into a valuable asset. That lesson is now part of your intellectual capital, something you can use to make better decisions for the rest of your life. The third actionable step is to create what is known as a failure resume. We all have a resume that lists our successes, our accomplishments, and our wins. I want you to create a second private resume. This one will list your biggest failures. For each failure, write down what the project was, what went wrong, and most importantly, what you learned from the experience. This exercise does two powerful things. First, It normalizes failure. When you see all your past setbacks listed out, you realize that you have survived and even grown from all of them. It takes the fear out of future failure. Second, it highlights the immense value and wisdom you have gained from your mistakes. You will see that your most profound lessons often came from your most difficult experiences. Your failure resume is a testament to your resilience and your courage to try. Now that we understand how to take intelligent risks and how to learn from our failures, we need to introduce the final piece of the puzzle, the practical strategy that allows us to manage risk and stay in the game for the long haul. That strategy is diversification. You have undoubtedly heard the old adage, "Don't put all your eggs in one basket." This is perhaps the most well-known principle of investing, and for good reason. It is the cornerstone of prudent risk management. Diversification is the practice of spreading your investments across various assets, industries, and geographies so that a single event cannot wipe you out. It is the safety net that catches you when one of your calculated risks inevitably fails. It is what allows you to be resilient. Many people misunderstand diversification. They think owning 5 different technology stocks is diversification. It is not. If the technology sector has a downturn, all their stocks will likely go down together. True diversification means owning assets that behave differently from one another in different economic conditions. When one part of your portfolio is down, another part is likely to be up, or at least stable, smoothing out your overall returns and protecting you from catastrophic losses. Think of it like a sports team. You would not build a team with 11 goalkeepers. You need defenders, midfielders, and strikers. Each player has a different role, and their combined skills make the team strong and resilient. Your investment portfolio should be constructed in the same way. But the 1% apply the principle of diversification far beyond just their stock portfolio. They apply it as a holistic life strategy to build resilience into every aspect of their financial world. Let's explore the 4 key pillars of diversification. The first pillar is, of course, investment diversification. This is the one most people are familiar with. It involves spreading your capital across different asset classes. The main asset classes include stocks, also known as equities, which represent ownership in companies, bonds, which are essentially loans you make to governments or corporations in exchange for interest payments, real estate, which includes physical property like rental homes or commercial buildings, and commodities, which are raw materials like gold, oil, and agricultural products. Each of these asset classes tends to perform differently depending on what is happening in the economy. For the average person, the simplest and most effective way to achieve this diversification is through low-cost index funds. An S&P 500 index fund, for example, allows you to own a tiny piece of the 500 largest companies in the United States, instantly diversifying you across dozens of industries. A global index fund goes even further, diversifying you across thousands of companies in different countries around the world. The second, and arguably more important pillar, is income diversification. As we touched on before, relying on a single paycheck from a single job is one of the riskiest financial positions a person can be in. You are one bad boss, one corporate restructuring, or one industry disruption away from having your income go to zero overnight. The wealthy understand this fragility, and they are obsessed with building multiple streams of income. Your primary job is just the first stream. Your goal should be to methodically add more. The second stream could come from your knowledge and skills. This could be freelance writing, consulting, coaching, or tutoring in the evenings and weekends. The third stream could come from a side business. This could be an e-commerce store, a small local service business, or creating and selling digital products. The fourth and ultimate stream is passive income. This is income that comes from your assets, not your direct labor. It includes things like dividends from your stocks, interest from your bonds, or rental income from your real estate. The goal is to build up these passive income streams to the point where they can cover your basic living expenses. This is the true definition of financial freedom. It is the point where you no longer have to trade your time for money. It is the ultimate form of financial resilience. The third pillar is skill diversification. In a rapidly changing job market, the specialist who only knows how to do one thing is incredibly vulnerable. If their one skill becomes obsolete, they are in serious trouble. The resilient individual of the 21st century is what is often called a T-shaped person. The vertical bar of the T represents their deep expertise in one core area. This is what makes them valuable. But the horizontal bar of the T represents their broad knowledge and basic proficiency in many other areas. They might be an expert software engineer, but they also understand the basics of marketing, sales, project management, and communication. This skill diversification makes them far more adaptable and valuable. They can communicate with people in other departments. They can see the bigger picture. And if their core specialty is ever threatened, they have a broad base of other skills to pivot to. Your action step here is to never stop learning. Always be working on adding a new complementary skill to your toolbox. The fourth and final pillar is network diversification. This is a perfect bridge to our next chapter. Many people build a professional network that is very deep but also very narrow. They only know people in their own company or their own specific industry. This is fragile. If their industry goes into a downturn, their entire network is facing the same problems. The intelligent wealth builder cultivates a diverse network of contacts from a wide variety of industries, professions, and backgrounds. They know lawyers, accountants, entrepreneurs, artists, and scientists. This diverse network exposes them to new ideas, new perspectives, and new opportunities that they would never encounter within their own silo. It is a powerful source of resilience, providing them with a wide range of resources to call upon when they face a challenge or are looking to make a change. The art of intelligent risk-taking is a dance between courage and prudence. It is about having the courage to step into the arena and take a chance on yourself and your ideas. But it is also about having the prudence to do your homework, to manage your downside, and to build a resilient foundation through diversification. Stop seeing risk as a monster to be avoided. Start seeing it as a tool to be understood and mastered. Your comfort zone is a place where dreams go to die. The life you truly want, the wealth you truly desire, is waiting for you on the other side of a calculated risk. Chapter 5. The Power of Your Inner Circle. We have now explored the internal landscape of the wealthy mind. We have delved into the beliefs, habits, emotions, and risk tolerance that are essential for building a fortune. But now we must turn our attention outward to one of the most powerful and often underestimated forces that shapes our success. That force is the people we surround ourselves with. The journey to wealth is not a solitary one. It is profoundly influenced by the individuals who populate our lives, our friends, our family, our colleagues, and our mentors. The famous speaker Jim Rohn's proclamation that "you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with" is not just a catchy phrase, it is a fundamental law of human nature. The people in your inner circle act as a powerful current, either pulling you forward toward your goals or dragging you back into the waters of mediocrity. The wealthy are not just lucky to know other successful people. They are incredibly deliberate and intentional about curating their social environment. They understand that relationships are a form of currency, and that the right associations can provide knowledge, opportunities, and support that money alone cannot buy. In this chapter, we will explore the profound impact of the proximity principle. We will uncover the transformative power of mentorship, and we will learn how to build or join one of the most potent success accelerators ever conceived, the Mastermind Group. This chapter is about understanding that who you know is just as important as what you know. It is about making the conscious decision to surround yourself with greatness, so that their greatness becomes your new normal. Let's begin by unpacking the profound truth behind the proximity principle. The idea that we are the average of the people closest to us is not a mystical concept. It is grounded in real, observable psychology and neuroscience. Our brains are wired for social connection and adaptation. We have something called mirror neurons, which are brain cells that fire both when we perform an action and when we observe someone else performing that same action. This is the biological basis for empathy, learning, and behavioral mimicry. When you are constantly around people who complain about their financial situation, who have a scarcity mindset, and who spend their money frivolously, your mirror neurons are firing. On a subconscious level, you begin to adopt their language, their beliefs, and their habits. Their reality becomes normalized in your mind. Their ceiling becomes your ceiling. Conversely, if you immerse yourself in a group of people who are optimistic, who talk about opportunities and ideas, who are disciplined with their finances, and who are constantly learning and growing, the effect is just as powerful. Their habits start to seem normal. Their level of success starts to seem achievable. Their conversations expand your thinking and expose you to new possibilities. They raise the bar, and without even consciously trying, you will find yourself stretching to reach it. This is the power of your reference group. It sets the standard for what you believe is possible for yourself. If everyone you know earns $50,000 a year, earning $100,000 might seem like an impossible dream. But if you are regularly having conversations with people who earn $1 million a year, earning $100,000 suddenly seems like a very reasonable and achievable starting point. To effectively harness the proximity principle, you must first become a conscious observer of your current inner circle. It is time for a relationship audit. This can be a difficult and uncomfortable process, but it is absolutely essential. To guide this audit, let's categorize the people in our lives into 3 distinct groups. The first group are the drainers. These are the anchors tied to your feet. Drainers are people who are chronically negative. They are the complainers, the cynics, and the victims. They see problems in every opportunity. When you share a new goal or an exciting idea, their first response is to tell you all the reasons why it will not work. They are often steeped in a scarcity mindset, believing that life is a zero-sum game and that success is reserved for the lucky few. Spending time with a drainer leaves you feeling exhausted, discouraged, and smaller than you were before. They suck the energy and belief right out of you. The second group are the maintainers. This is where most of our friends and family reside. Maintainers are good people. They are your companions. You enjoy their company and you have fun with them. They are not actively negative like the drainers, but they are also not challenging you to grow. They are comfortable. They are content with the status quo. They are your friends from school who are working in the same kind of job, living the same kind of life. They are perfectly happy to have you stay exactly as you are, because your growth might make them feel uncomfortable about their own lack of it. They are not pulling you down, but they are not lifting you up either. They are keeping you right where you are. The third group, and the one we must actively seek, are the lifters. These are the chargers, the accelerators. Lifters are the people who inspire you to be a better version of yourself. They are on their own path of growth and they want you to join them. They are optimistic, they are action-oriented, and they hold you to a higher standard. When you share a goal with a lifter, they do not just encourage you, they ask you challenging questions. That's a great goal. What's your first step? How can I help? Who do you know that I should introduce you to? They believe in abundance and possibility. They celebrate your wins, and they support you through your failures. Spending time with a lifter leaves you feeling energized, inspired, and more capable than you were before. Their belief in you can often be the catalyst for your own self-belief. Now for the actionable steps. Take out a piece of paper or open a new document. List the 5 to 10 people you spend the most time and energy on. Be honest with yourself. Next to each name, write down whether they are primarily a drainer, a maintainer, or a lifter. Then, for each person, write down how you typically feel after you interact with them. Energized or exhausted, optimistic or pessimistic, expanded or contracted. This audit is not about judging your friends or family. It is about gathering data on the environmental influences that are shaping your life. Once you have this clarity, you can begin to consciously re-engineer your social environment. This requires a 3-pronged strategy. First, you must manage your exposure to the drainers. This does not necessarily mean you have to cut them out of your life completely. especially if they are family members. It means you must set firm boundaries. You might choose to limit the amount of time you spend with them. You might decide to consciously steer conversations away from their typical patterns of complaining and negativity. You can choose not to engage when they start a negative spiral. You are the guardian of your own mind and your own energy. It is your responsibility to protect it from toxic influences. You can love someone from a distance if their proximity is consistently pulling you down. The second strategy is to elevate your relationships with your maintainers. Many of your comfortable friends have the potential to grow with you. The key is to be the leader. Start introducing new ideas into your conversations. Instead of just talking about sports or television shows, talk about a fascinating book you are reading or a new business idea you have. Invite them to a seminar or a workshop with you. Share this audiobook with them. Some of your maintainers will be inspired by your new direction and will choose to rise with you. They may become your future business partners or members of your mastermind group. Others will resist the change and may drift away, and you have to be okay with that. Not everyone is meant to be a part of every chapter of your life's journey. The third and most critical strategy is to actively and aggressively seek out the lifters. Great people are not going to magically appear on your doorstep. You have to go where they are. This requires you to step out of your comfort zone. Where do you find these people? Start by looking at places where people are actively investing in their own growth. This includes industry conferences, business seminars, and personal development workshops. Attend these events with the specific intention of making meaningful connections. Another place to find lifters is in high-level hobby or interest groups. If you enjoy a sport, join a competitive league rather than a casual one. If you are interested in a cause, volunteer for a position on the board of a non-profit organization. These are places where you will find driven, successful people. You must be proactive. Be curious. Ask people about their story. Be a good listener. And most importantly, always be thinking, how can I add value to this person? Before you ever think about what you can get from them. This mindset of generosity is the key to building powerful relationships. This brings us to one of the most powerful types of relationships you can cultivate: mentorship. A mentor is a guide, a trusted advisor who is further along the path than you are. They have already made the mistakes, learned the lessons, and achieved the success that you are currently striving for. A great mentor can collapse time. They can help you avoid years of painful and expensive trial and error by sharing their wisdom and experience. The value of a good mentor is truly priceless. They can provide you with a roadmap, open doors to opportunities you could not access on your own, and provide the crucial encouragement and perspective you need when you are facing challenges. Almost every highly successful person you can name has had one or more mentors who played a pivotal role in their journey. It is important to understand that mentorship can take many forms. The most traditional form is the direct, one-on-one mentor. This is a person you meet with regularly who takes a personal interest in your development. But there are other forms as well. You can have indirect mentors. These are people you may never meet, but you can learn from them intensively through their work. Warren Buffett has been an indirect mentor to millions of investors through his shareholder letters. You can choose to be mentored by Napoleon Hill by reading Think and Grow Rich 10 times. You can be mentored by any author, speaker, or leader by consuming all of their content and deliberately applying their lessons to your own life. You can also have peer mentors. This is a reciprocal relationship with someone who is at a similar stage as you, where you mentor each other in your respective areas of expertise. You might be great at marketing while they are great at operations. You can trade your knowledge and hold each other accountable. The most sought-after form, however, is the direct mentor, and this is where most people struggle. They do not know how to find one, and they do not know how to ask. Let's break down the actionable steps to finding and securing a great mentor. The first step is to have absolute clarity on what you need help with. Do not approach a potential mentor with a vague request to pick their brain or be your mentor. This is lazy and puts all the work on them. You need to be specific. Do you need help with a specific business challenge, like raising capital or creating a marketing plan? Do you need advice on a specific career transition? The more specific you are, the easier it is for a busy person to help you. The second step is to identify potential mentors. Look for people who are 5 to 10 years ahead of you on the path you want to be on. They are close enough to your situation to remember the challenges you are facing, but far enough ahead to provide valuable perspective. Where do you find them? Look within your current company, in senior positions. Look within your industry's professional associations. Look at the speakers at local industry events. Your ideal mentor is often closer than you think. Create a list of 5 to 10 potential candidates. The third and most crucial step is the approach. This must be done with respect, professionalism, and a focus on adding value first. Do not just send a cold email asking for their time. That is a request to take value. You must first find a way to give value. The first part of your approach is to do your homework. Study them. Read articles they have written. Watch interviews they have given. Understand their career path and their accomplishments. Find something you genuinely admire about their work. The second part is to find a small, simple way to add value. This could be as simple as sending them a short, polite email, praising a specific piece of their work, and sharing one key insight you gained from it. It could be sharing an article or a resource that you think they might find interesting and relevant to their work. It could be making a small but helpful connection for them. You are getting on their radar in a positive, non-demanding way. Only after you have made this initial positive contact should you consider making a request. And when you do, make it a small, specific, and easy to say yes to request. Do not ask, "Will you be my mentor?" That is a huge, intimidating commitment. Instead, ask something like, "I was so inspired by your insights on X. I am currently facing a specific challenge in that area, and I was wondering if I could possibly buy you a 15-minute cup of coffee next month to ask you 2 very specific questions about it. I know how valuable your time is, and I will be fully prepared to make the most of it." This is a request that is respectful, specific, and has a clear endpoint. It is much more likely to get a yes than a vague, open-ended request. Once you have secured a mentor, your job is to be the best mentee they have ever had. This is how you turn a one-time coffee meeting into a long-term relationship. Always be prepared for your meetings. Have a clear agenda and specific questions. Never, ever waste their time. After the meeting, implement their advice immediately. Then, and this is the step most people miss, report back to them on your progress. Send a follow-up email a few weeks later saying, "Following your advice, I did X, and the result was Y. Thank you so much for your guidance." This shows them that you are an action taker, and that their advice is making a difference. It makes them feel good, and makes them more invested in your success. And finally, always be looking for ways to give back. Can you help them with a project? Do you have a skill they could use? Can you introduce them to someone who could be valuable to them? A great mentorship is a two-way street, not a one-way extraction of value. Now, let's talk about leveling up the concept of a supportive network to its ultimate form, the mastermind group. The concept was famously defined by Napoleon Hill in his classic book, Think and Grow Rich. He described a mastermind as the coordination of knowledge and effort of 2 or more people who work toward a definite purpose in the spirit of harmony. A mastermind group is a curated peer group, typically of 4 to 6 individuals, who meet on a regular, consistent basis to support, challenge, and hold each other accountable to achieving their goals. The power of a mastermind comes from the third mind that is created when the members come together. You are no longer just relying on your own ideas and experiences. You are tapping into the collective knowledge, experience, network, and creativity of the entire group. When you present a challenge to your mastermind, you get multiple, diverse perspectives on how to solve it. This collective brainstorming can unlock solutions and opportunities that you would never have thought of on your own. The benefits of a well-run mastermind group are immense. First, there is the powerful force of accountability. When you declare your goals to a group of peers you respect, you are far more likely to follow through on them. Your group will ask you about your progress at the next meeting, and you will not want to show up empty-handed. Second, you get access to a trusted board of advisors for your life and your business. The members of your group become your personal cabinet, offering you advice and feedback that is honest and has your best interests at heart. Third, you gain access to the combined network of every member in the group. If you need an introduction to someone, it is highly likely that someone in your group knows the right person. Finally, a mastermind provides incredible emotional support. The entrepreneurial and wealth-building journey can be lonely and difficult. Your mastermind group understands your struggles because they are on a similar path. They are the ones you can turn to for encouragement when you are feeling discouraged and for a celebration of your wins. So how do you get involved in a mastermind? There are two paths. You can join an existing one, or you can create your own. Joining an existing group can be a great option. You can search for them on platforms like meetup.com, in professional forums, or by asking your mentors and contacts if they know of any good groups. If you find one, make sure to vet it carefully. Ask about the structure, the commitment level of the members, and the overall purpose of the group to ensure it aligns with your goals. However, often the most powerful option is to create your own mastermind group. This allows you to hand-pick the members and design the culture and structure from the ground up. Let's walk through the actionable steps to creating a successful mastermind. The first step is to define the purpose and focus of the group. A group with no clear purpose will quickly devolve into a casual social club. Be specific. Is the purpose of this group for its members to each grow their side business to $10,000 a month in revenue? Is it to help each member purchase their first rental property within 18 months? A clear, measurable goal will attract the right people and keep the group on track. The second and most critical step is the selection of the members. The people in your group will determine its success or failure. Do not just invite your existing friends. You are looking for a specific set of qualities. Look for people who have a similar level of ambition and drive. They do not all have to be in the same industry. In fact, a diversity of skills and backgrounds is often a huge advantage. Look for people who have a positive, collaborative attitude. Avoid egos and people who just want to talk about themselves. Look for people who are committed to action and who have a track record of following through. And finally, look for people you can trust because the group will require a high level of confidentiality and vulnerability. Aim for a group of 4 to 6 people in total. This is small enough for everyone to have time to share, but large enough to generate diverse ideas. The third step is to establish the rules and the structure. A mastermind needs a clear framework to be effective. Before your first official meeting, get together and agree on the ground rules. This should include a strict commitment to attendance, a pledge of absolute confidentiality, and an agreement that every member will participate fully. You also need to define the structure of the meetings. A well-structured meeting ensures that the time is used effectively. A common and highly effective structure is the hot seat model. A typical 90-minute meeting might look like this. The first 10 minutes are for wins, where each member shares a personal or professional success from the past week. This starts the meeting with positive energy. The next 60 to 70 minutes are dedicated to 1 or 2 members' hot seats. The person in the hot seat presents a specific challenge or opportunity they are facing. The rest of the group then dedicates their full attention to brainstorming solutions, asking clarifying questions, and offering advice and resources. The final 10 minutes are for each member to declare their top 1 to 3 goals for the upcoming week and to state how they will hold themselves accountable. The final step is to commit to consistency. A mastermind group must meet regularly to build momentum and trust. This could be weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, but it must be consistent, and it must be treated as a sacred, unbreakable appointment in your calendar. The magic of the mastermind is not in any single meeting, but in the cumulative effect of consistent support, accountability, and collective intelligence over time. Your social environment is not a passive backdrop to your life. It is an active ingredient in your success. The people you allow into your inner circle will shape your thoughts, your beliefs, your standards, and ultimately, your destiny. Make the conscious, deliberate choice to surround yourself with people who lift you higher. Audit your relationships. Limit your time with those who drain you. Seek out those who inspire you. Find a mentor who can shorten your path, and build a mastermind group that will multiply your efforts. When you surround yourself with the best, you are programming yourself to become one of them. This is the power of your inner circle, and it is one of the most potent and most rewarding tools you have on your journey to building wealth from within. Chapter 6. The Legacy of Lasting Wealth. We have arrived at the final and perhaps most profound chapter of our journey together. We have meticulously explored the internal architecture of the millionaire mind. We have laid the bricks of powerful habits. We have learned to navigate the turbulent seas of our own emotions. We have mastered the art of intelligent risk, and we have understood the immense power of the people we choose to walk with. We have, in essence, learned how to accumulate wealth. But now, we must ask the ultimate question, the one that separates the merely rich from the truly wealthy. What is it all for? If the journey ends with nothing more than a large number in a bank account, it is a journey that has fallen short of its true potential. Money, in and of itself, is empty. It is a tool, a form of energy, but it has no inherent meaning. The meaning comes from what we do with it. This final chapter is about that meaning. It is about transcending the simple accumulation of wealth and moving into the realm of its distribution and its purpose. We will explore how to build not just a fortune, but a legacy. We will delve into the concept of purpose-driven wealth, understanding that a powerful why can fuel your journey like nothing else. We will discuss the practical and philosophical aspects of building generational wealth, ensuring that the prosperity you create outlives you. And finally, we will uncover the deep, scientifically proven fulfillment that comes from the joy of giving. This is the capstone of our work together. This is where we learn to make our wealth matter, not just for ourselves, but for our families, our communities, and the world. This is how we ensure that our success leaves a lasting, positive echo long after we are gone. Let us begin with the engine that drives all truly great fortunes, purpose-driven wealth. Many people believe that the pursuit of money is the purpose. They chase a number, a lifestyle, a level of status. But the 1%, especially those who are self-made and have sustained their success over decades, understand a deeper truth. Money is not the goal, it is the byproduct of a goal. It is the result of pursuing a purpose that is larger than oneself. A purpose is your why. It is the reason you get out of bed in the morning with energy and passion. It is the mission that pulls you forward through the inevitable obstacles and setbacks. Without a compelling purpose, the journey to wealth becomes a long, arduous grind, and even if you achieve it, you are often left with a hollow, empty feeling, asking, is this all there is? Think of it like this. Imagine you are building a magnificent cathedral. If your only focus is on laying each individual brick perfectly, the work will quickly become tedious and monotonous. You will be focused on the labor. But if your focus is on the grand vision of the finished cathedral, on the sanctuary it will provide, on the beauty it will bring to the skyline for centuries to come, then each brick you lay is not a chore. It is an act of creation. It has meaning. It has purpose. Your financial goals are the bricks. Your purpose is the cathedral. A purpose transforms the mundane tasks of saving, investing, and working into a noble pursuit. It provides a source of motivation that is internal and inexhaustible, unlike the fleeting, external motivation of simply wanting a bigger house or a faster car. The power of purpose has been documented not just in business, but in the most extreme of human circumstances. The psychiatrist Viktor Frankl, in his seminal book, Man's Search for Meaning, observed that the prisoners in Nazi concentration camps, who were most likely to survive, were not necessarily the physically strongest, but those who held on to a sense of purpose. They had a reason to live, whether it was the hope of being reunited with a loved one, a piece of work they felt they still needed to finish, or a deep spiritual faith. This purpose gave them the mental and spiritual resilience to endure unimaginable suffering. While our financial struggles are in no way comparable, the psychological principle is the same. A powerful purpose gives you the resilience to endure market crashes, business failures, and long periods of slow progress. When you are working for something bigger than just your own comfort, you unlock a level of strength and perseverance you never knew you possessed. So how do you find your purpose? This is one of the biggest questions a person can ask, and it is not always easy to answer. It is a process of deep self-reflection and exploration. Let's walk through some actionable steps you can take to begin this discovery. The first step is to engage in a passions and problems audit. Take out a notebook and create 2 columns. In the first column, list all the things you are passionate about. What topics could you read about for hours? What activities make you lose all track of time? What do you find yourself talking about with friends and family with genuine excitement? Do not filter or judge yourself. Just write everything down, no matter how small or silly it may seem. In the second column, list all the problems in the world that you wish you could solve. What injustices make you angry? What inefficiencies in the world frustrate you? What groups of people or causes do you feel a deep sense of empathy for? Again, list everything that comes to mind. Your purpose often lies at the intersection of these 2 lists, where your passion and a problem the world needs solved come together. When you can apply what you love to do to a problem you care deeply about, you have found a powerful source of purpose. The second actionable step is to conduct a series of life experiments. Your purpose is not something you are likely to discover by sitting in a quiet room and thinking about it. You discover it through action and experience. Based on your passions and problems list, start conducting small, low-risk experiments. If you think you might be passionate about teaching financial literacy to young people, volunteer to run a 1-hour workshop at a local community center. If you are frustrated by the amount of plastic waste in your community, organize a small weekend cleanup event. These experiments provide you with real-world feedback. Did you enjoy the experience? Did it feel meaningful? Did it give you energy? Your purpose is often not revealed in a single flash of insight, but through the process of trying things, learning what you love, and discovering where you can make the biggest impact. The third step is to define your personal mission statement. A mission statement is not just for corporations. It is a powerful tool for individual clarity. It is a concise declaration of your purpose, your values, and what you aim to achieve. To create your mission statement, try to answer these 4 questions in 1 or 2 sentences. 1. What do I want to do? This is your core action. 2. Who do I want to help? This is your audience. 3. What is the result or value I want to create? This is your impact. And 4. What are the core values that guide my actions? This is your moral compass. For example, a personal mission statement might sound like, my mission is to use my communication skills to teach young entrepreneurs the principles of financial psychology so they can build sustainable, purpose-driven businesses that positively impact their communities, all while operating with integrity and generosity. This statement becomes your guiding star. When you are faced with a decision, you can ask yourself, does this align with my mission? It provides a powerful filter for how you spend your time, your energy, and your money. When your wealth accumulation becomes aligned with a purpose, a magical thing happens. Your work is no longer just work. Your business is no longer just a vehicle for profit. They become expressions of your deepest values. This is the state in which the world's most impactful and fulfilled wealthy individuals operate. They are not just building a bank account, they are building a better world, and the wealth they accumulate is simply the score that tells them how effectively they are doing it. This long-term, purpose-driven perspective leads us directly into the second pillar of a lasting legacy, building generational wealth. The vast majority of people operate on a short-term financial horizon. They think about paying next month's bills, saving for next year's vacation, and maybe, if they are disciplined, saving for their own retirement. This is a single-generation mindset. The mindset of the 1%, the truly wealthy, is fundamentally different. They think in terms of multiple generations. They are not just planting a garden for themselves to enjoy. They are planting a mighty oak tree whose shade their great-grandchildren will one day sit under. This is the shift from building personal wealth to building a family dynasty. There is a well-known proverb that says shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations. It is a phenomenon observed across cultures all over the world. The first generation works tirelessly to build a fortune. The second generation, raised in comfort, enjoys the fruits of that labor. And the third generation, raised in luxury and often lacking the hunger and financial literacy of the first, squanders the fortune, returning the family to where it started. It is estimated that a staggering 70% of wealthy families lose their wealth by the second generation, and 90% lose it by the third. The ultimate challenge for the wealthy is not just to make money, but to break this cycle. Building generational wealth is about much more than just leaving behind a large inheritance. A pile of money without the right mindset and values is a liability, not an asset. It can destroy motivation, create a sense of entitlement, and cause bitter family disputes. True generational wealth involves the intentional transfer of not just financial capital, but also human capital, intellectual capital, and social capital. Let's break down the actionable steps to creating a legacy that lasts. The first and most foundational element is the creation of a family mission statement and a set of core values. Just like a personal mission statement, a family mission statement is a declaration of what your family stands for. It answers questions like, what is the purpose of our family's wealth? What values do we want to guide our decisions? What impact do we want to have on the world? The process of creating this statement is often more important than the statement itself. It requires you to have open, honest conversations with your spouse and, as they get older, with your children about money, values, and purpose. This process aligns the family around a common vision and helps to prevent the conflicts that often arise when money is a taboo topic. Your family's core values might include things like integrity, lifelong learning, hard work, generosity, and resilience. These values then become the bedrock upon which all financial and life decisions are made. The second step involves the practical tools of estate planning. This is a topic that many people avoid because it involves confronting their own mortality. But it is an absolute necessity for anyone serious about generational wealth. Estate planning is simply the process of deciding how your assets will be managed and distributed after you are gone. The most basic tool is a will, which is a legal document that outlines your wishes. However, for significant wealth, a will is often not enough. This is where trusts come in. In simple terms, a trust is a legal entity that holds assets on behalf of a beneficiary. There are many different types of trusts, but they can be used to achieve several key goals. They can help to minimize estate taxes, protect assets from creditors or lawsuits, and provide for the long-term management of wealth for your heirs. For example, you can set up a trust that distributes money to your children in stages, say a portion at age 25, another portion at 30, and the final portion at 35. You can even include incentive clauses in a trust, for example, stipulating that the trust will match any earned income a child makes, thereby encouraging them to be productive members of society, rather than just living off their inheritance. Creating a proper estate plan is not a do-it-yourself project. This is an area where you must seek the advice of qualified professionals, specifically an estate planning attorney and a financial advisor. This is a critical investment in securing your family's future. The third, and arguably most important step, is the intentional cultivation of financial literacy in your heirs. This is the vaccine against the shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves curse. You cannot expect your children to be good stewards of wealth if you have never taught them how to manage it. This education must start early and be an ongoing conversation. It begins with simple concepts like giving your young children 3 jars, one for spending, one for saving, and one for giving. This teaches them from a young age that money has multiple purposes. As they get older, the lessons should become more sophisticated. Involve them in age-appropriate family financial discussions. When you are making a decision about a family vacation, you can show them the budget. When they are teenagers, you can open a custodial investment account for them and teach them the basics of long-term investing in index funds. Encourage them to get part-time jobs so they can learn the value of earning their own money. The goal is to demystify money and to strip it of its power as a taboo topic. You want to raise your children to be wealth creators in their own right, not just trust fund babies. You want them to see their inheritance not as a lottery ticket, but as a responsibility and a tool to further the family's mission. The 4th step is to establish a tradition of family meetings. These are regularly scheduled meetings, perhaps once or twice a year, where the family comes together to discuss its financial affairs, review its progress toward the family mission, and educate the younger generation. These meetings can be used to review the family's investment performance, discuss philanthropic goals, and allow younger family members to present their own business or educational plans. These meetings transform the family from a collection of individuals into a cohesive economic unit, working together toward a common purpose. This is how you build a dynasty that lasts for generations. It is built not just on a foundation of assets, but on a foundation of shared values, open communication, and deep financial wisdom. This brings us to the final beautiful culmination of our journey, the joy of giving. We have talked about how a purpose can fuel our wealth creation, and how we can pass that wealth on to future generations. But there is a profound, immediate, and deeply personal benefit that comes from using our wealth to help others, right here and now. This is the practice of philanthropy. For many people with a scarcity mindset, the idea of giving money away seems counterintuitive. They are so focused on accumulating that the idea of voluntarily depleting their resources feels wrong. But the 1%, especially those who report the highest levels of life satisfaction, understand a paradoxical secret. The more you give, the richer you truly become. This is not a spiritual platitude. It is a scientifically and psychologically verified fact. Numerous studies in the field of positive psychology have shown a strong correlation between generosity and happiness. Research conducted by Harvard Business School professor Michael Norton found that giving money to someone else lifted participants' happiness more than spending it on themselves. This effect is observed across cultures and income levels. The act of giving triggers the release of endorphins in our brain, creating a phenomenon often referred to as a helper's high. On a deeper level, giving connects us to others. It reminds us that we are part of a larger community. It moves us out of a self-centered perspective and into a more expansive, connected one. It fulfills a deep human need for contribution and significance. The money you accumulate can buy you comfort and security, but it cannot buy you fulfillment. Fulfillment is a byproduct of contribution. Many people think that philanthropy is something reserved for billionaires like Bill Gates or Warren Buffett. They think, I'll start giving back once I'm rich. But this is a mistake. The habit of generosity, like the habit of saving, is best built early and practiced consistently, regardless of the amount. The amount you give is far less important than the intention and the habit of giving. Let's explore some actionable steps for incorporating the joy of giving into your life, no matter your current financial situation. The first step is to create a giving plan. Just as you have a plan for your saving and investing, you should have a plan for your giving. Decide on a percentage of your income that you will dedicate to charitable causes. This could start as small as 1%. If you earn $50,000 a year, that is $500 a year, or a little over $40 a month. This is an achievable amount for most people. The key is to make it automatic. Set up a recurring donation to your chosen charities, or have a percentage of your paycheck automatically deposited into a separate giving account. By making it a percentage, your giving will automatically scale up as your income grows. This intentional, planned approach transforms giving from a sporadic, emotional act into a disciplined, integral part of your financial life. The second step is to find the causes that resonate with you. Your giving will be most fulfilling when it is aligned with your values and your purpose, which we explored earlier. Go back to your passions and problems list. What issues ignite a fire within you? Is it animal welfare, environmental conservation, children's education, medical research, or supporting your local arts community? There is no right or wrong answer. The goal is to find the organizations that are doing the work you believe in most. Use resources like Charity Navigator or GuideStar to research charities and ensure that they are reputable and efficient with their donations. The third step is to consider giving more than just your money. Your time, your skills, and your network are often just as valuable, if not more so, than a financial contribution. This is especially true when you are just starting out. Can you volunteer a few hours a month at a local food bank? Can you use your marketing skills to help a small non-profit with their social media presence? Can you serve on the board of a local charity and contribute your strategic thinking? This kind of hands-on involvement creates a much deeper connection to the cause and can be incredibly rewarding. It allows you to see the direct impact of your contribution, which reinforces the joy of giving and motivates you to do more. The fourth step is to think about strategic philanthropy as you become more successful. This is about moving from simply writing checks to actively using your resources to solve the root causes of problems. This is the model used by large foundations like the Gates Foundation. They do not just give money to feed the hungry. They invest in agricultural research to create more resilient crops so that people can feed themselves. You do not need to be a billionaire to think strategically. If you care about literacy, you might choose to fund a specific program that teaches parents how to read to their young children, addressing the problem at its root rather than just donating used books. This requires more research and involvement, but it can lead to a far greater and more lasting impact. The journey of wealth is a circle. We begin by focusing inward on our mindset and our habits. We then move outward to taking action and building our fortune in the world. But the journey is not complete until we close the circle by turning our success back outward to serve a purpose larger than ourselves. True wealth is not measured by what you have, but by what you give. It is found in the legacy of values you pass on to your children and in the positive impact you have on your community. This is the ultimate expression of the abundance mindset. It is the deep, unshakable belief that you have more than enough and that your highest calling is to share that abundance with the world. This is wealth from within. Chapter 7. Living a life of integrated wealth. We have reached the end of our audiobook, but we are at the very beginning of your new life. Our journey together has been a comprehensive exploration, a deep dive into the very heart of what it means to build not just a fortune, but a life of profound and lasting abundance. We began our quest in the most important place of all, the inner world of your mind. In Chapter 1, we laid the foundational blueprint, shattering the limiting beliefs of scarcity and replacing them with the empowering operating system of abundance. We reframed money from a source of anxiety into a powerful tool for creation and freedom, and we embraced the radical responsibility that comes from taking complete ownership of our financial destiny. From there, we moved from thought to action. In Chapter 2, we began to lay the bricks of success by installing the daily habits of the high achievers. We committed to becoming lifelong learners. We embraced the critical truth that our health is our greatest asset, and we became the strategic architects of our own future through intentional planning. Our journey then took us deeper into the often turbulent waters of our own hearts. In Chapter 3, we confronted the emotional currency of wealth, learning to tame the primal forces of fear and greed, and cultivating the quiet superpowers of patience and discipline. We built the unshakable resilience necessary to weather any financial storm. With our emotional compass calibrated, we learned to dance with uncertainty in Chapter 4, mastering the art of intelligent risk. We drew a clear line between reckless gambling and calculated opportunity. We learned to embrace failure not as a final verdict, but as invaluable feedback. And we built a fortress of security through the powerful strategy of diversification. Then, we turned our focus outward. In Chapter 5, we recognized that we do not succeed alone. We harnessed the incredible power of our inner circle, learning to curate our social environment, to seek the wisdom of mentors, and to build the exponential power of a mastermind group. And finally, in our last chapter, we reached the summit, asking the ultimate question of why. In Chapter 6, we explored the legacy of lasting wealth, connecting our financial ambitions to a deep sense of purpose, laying the groundwork for a multi-generational dynasty of values and prosperity, and discovering the profound fulfillment that comes from the joy of giving. Now, as we stand here at the conclusion of this structured path, it is time to integrate all these pieces into a single, cohesive whole. The ultimate goal is not just to be financially wealthy. The world is full of people who have large bank accounts, but live impoverished lives, marked by poor health, broken relationships, and a lack of meaning. The true 1%, the individuals we aspire to become, are not just rich in money. They are rich in every area of their lives. They are living a life of what I call integrated wealth. Integrated wealth is a state of being where your financial abundance is in perfect harmony with your physical vitality, your emotional well-being, your intellectual growth, your relational depth, and your spiritual purpose. It is a life where there is no conflict between your work and your values, between your money and your meaning. It is a life of holistic success, where every part of you is thriving in synergy with every other part. Your health gives you the energy to pursue your purpose. Your purpose gives you the motivation to build your wealth. Your wealth gives you the freedom to invest in your relationships and your learning. Your relationships give you the support to take risks. Your learning gives you the skills to create more value. It is a beautiful, self-reinforcing upward spiral. This is the real secret. The principles we have discussed are not a checklist of items to be completed. They are not separate, compartmentalized tactics. They are spokes on a wheel, and a wheel cannot roll smoothly unless all the spokes are strong and working together. You cannot truly master your finances if your health is a wreck and you lack the energy to focus. You cannot sustain the discipline needed for success if you are not fueled by a deep sense of purpose. You cannot build a powerful network if you are operating from a scarcity mindset of fear and distrust. Integrated wealth is about achieving congruence. It is about your inner world and your outer world reflecting each other in a beautiful, powerful alignment. When what you believe, what you do, and the results you get are all in sync, you enter a state of flow and momentum that is unstoppable. The question then becomes, how do we move from learning these concepts to truly living them? How do we make this philosophy not just something we know, but something we are? The final shift is the transition from conscious effort to unconscious competence. When you first learn to drive a car, you have to consciously think about every single action. You think about checking your mirrors, pushing the accelerator, turning the wheel. It feels awkward and requires immense focus. But after years of practice, you can drive across town while having a conversation, hardly thinking about the mechanics of driving at all. The skills have become integrated. They have become a part of you. This is our goal with the principles of financial psychology. Your journey to this point has been about conscious effort. You have consciously chosen to reframe your scarcity thoughts. You have consciously scheduled time for reading and exercise. You have consciously created a written financial plan to protect yourself from your emotions. This is the necessary learning phase. You must continue these conscious practices with relentless consistency. Do not be discouraged if it feels difficult or unnatural at first. That is a sign that you are rewiring decades of old programming. Every time you choose the abundance thought, every time you make the disciplined choice, Every time you take the calculated risk, you are strengthening new neural pathways. You are carving new grooves in your mind and in your character. Over time, with enough repetition, these new ways of thinking and acting will begin to sink deeper. They will move from your conscious mind to your subconscious mind. You will find that you no longer have to try to see opportunities, you just see them. You will find that saving a portion of your income is no longer a chore. It is just what you do, as automatically as brushing your teeth. You will find that you approach challenges not with fear, but with a calm, resilient sense of curiosity. This is the point of integration. This is when you stop doing the habits of the wealthy and you start being a wealthy person from the inside out. Your external financial reality will then inevitably, and often dramatically, shift to match your new internal identity. It is also crucial to understand that this is a lifelong journey. There is no finish line. There is no point at which you arrive and can stop learning, growing, and applying these principles. The world is constantly changing. The markets will shift. New technologies will emerge, and you will face new and unexpected challenges at every stage of your life. The commitment is not to reach a destination, but to embrace a path. The path of the conscious creator of your own life. The path of lifelong learning. The path of continuous improvement. The joy is not just in the achievement of your goals, but in the person you become in the process of pursuing them. You are sculpting yourself, day by day, choice by choice, into a masterpiece of your own creation. And so, we have come full circle. We began with the simple, yet revolutionary idea that your wealth starts from within. We end with that same idea, but now it is armed with a complete arsenal of strategies, habits, and philosophies to make it a reality. You now possess the blueprint, you have the tools, you have the knowledge. The only remaining ingredient is your unwavering commitment to use them. The gap between the life you have and the life you want is called action. You have the power, right now, in this very moment, to make a choice. You can choose to let these ideas fade, to let them be nothing more than a few hours of interesting listening. Or you can choose to take one idea, just one, from this audiobook and apply it today. You can choose to write down 3 things you are grateful for. You can choose to set up a $1 automatic transfer to a savings account. You can choose to email one person you admire and ask for 15 minutes of their time. The smallest action is infinitely more powerful than the grandest intention. Your journey does not end with the final words of this audiobook. In many ways, it is just beginning. The path to integrated wealth is not one that is meant to be walked alone. It is a journey that is enriched by shared knowledge, mutual support, and continuous inspiration. To continue receiving insights, to join a community of fellow travelers on this path, and to ensure you have a steady stream of encouragement and new strategies, I invite you to follow this channel for future works and updates. Let us continue to build our wealth from within, together. Remember this, you are not defined by your past. You are not limited by your current circumstances. You are the author of your own story, the captain of your own soul. The wealth you seek is not somewhere out there waiting to be found. It is a potential that resides within you, waiting to be unlocked. The blueprint is in your mind. The key is in your hands. Now go and build your cathedral.